All right, welcome everybody to ETS. Today I'm going to be going over some very simple concepts here, and the concept that we're going to be going over today is going to be the higher time frame and trading with the higher time frame. Okay, I'm going to try and simplify this as much as I can, but if you just bear with me, you will understand it. Trust me, you will understand this. All right, and so first things first, I just want to go over something very simple. Okay, so in trading, when you're trading, you want to be going with the flow. Okay, imagine like waves in an ocean or the wind, right? If you're fighting against the wind, if you're running against the wind that's pushing you backwards and you're running this way, you're going to have a hard time trying to run. Or if you're trying to swim against the waves that are coming at you, it's going to be a pretty hard time to, swim against those waves, okay? And that's basically the same thing with trading, right? You just want to go with the flow of the market and you just want to just ride the wave, basically, right? So if the market is trending upwards, right, and they're exploding upwards and going higher and higher, you don't want to be catching the high and then selling high and then, having the market coming to stop you out, right? Because the market is essentially, with the data that it provides you, it's pushing upwards, right? So you don't want to be fighting the market. Basically, you're always going to lose. If you keep fighting the market, you're going to lose. If you're trying to catch the high or catch the low in a downtrending market, then you're going to lose. All right, it's the same thing whether it's going up or down, right? So trading with the higher time frame using the criteria that I provide, it makes it very easy, guys. It makes it very simple, and your trades will be in profit almost immediately. So if you have a dump, like we talked about in the other video, a dump and pump, and you get in for a buy low opportunity, right, in a market that has been trending higher, right? If you get in for a buy low opportunity, you will be in profit almost immediately, right? And you can set your stop loss to break even, or you can take profits or whatever, right? So you're essentially trading with the higher time frame, right? And I'm going to show you guys this in a second with the actual charts. It's very simple and easy once you go with the higher time frame, and your trades, they won't fight back against you, right? If they're going up, let's just say you get in here and then they come back down and they go up and come back down, you're fighting the trade, right? You're basically fighting the trade once you get in, right? Or as soon as you get in on a whatever, if the market is going higher and you get in, you're underwater for you get in for a short trade, your stop loss is right here, you're underwater, and then they come back down, put you a little bit of profit, and then they come back, and then they just keep doing that, and then they eventually stop you out, right? And that's not what I'm really looking for. I want to look for the easy money and the trades that will put me into money or profit very quickly, right? So I'm going to show you guys this right now. So we have, and I have this anvil here just to show you guys, like just to give you a kind of more of help you with the common sense of really with trading, right? So I have GBP CAD pulled up right on the 15-minute chart, and if I just zoom out here, clearly, very clearly, right? I'm not, this is not any secret or whatever. It's very clearly, I'm showing you guys that this market is going downward and it's continuously pressing down and expanding the range, right? And just continuous downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, right? All that good stuff, right? And finally, we have a new week, right? And, just for anybody that's new here, the levels that I have marked off, we have the high of the day, the low of the day, the previous high of the day. So this is the previous high of the day, previous low of the day, and I have the previous day's closing price, right? So these are the levels basically, and then these little boxes are my sessions. So Asia, London, and then New York, right? And GBP CAD is going to be a London-based pair. Sometimes it could be US based, depending on how it sets up or whatever. But we have a London session opportunity, and like I said in the previous videos, we have a pump and dump because that's what I'm looking for. So the higher time frame, right? How do we align ourselves with the higher time frame? Well, first off, if we're heading into this trade or if we're heading into this day, right, we could see that price has pumped up and has started to close sideways. Let's just say we're just coming in right about here, into London, and we're like, okay, well, we have a pump, a coil. Okay, now I could expect a dump, right? And I just want to zoom out a little bit and be like, all right, well, who's really driving this market? All right, the higher time frame sellers are driving this market downward, right? And when to see a level broken, that will make you see the higher time frame, basically, if that makes sense, right? So the level that's going to be broken is going to be the high of the day, the previous high of the day level. So these levels, they trigger the higher time frames, right, on either side of the market. So we could have higher time frame buyers triggered, or we could have higher time frame sellers triggered, okay? And you know, it's just going along with the higher time frame trend, basically, okay? So once a daily level is broken, the higher time frame part of the market, side of the market, is triggered into the market, okay? So in this case, right, you want to be buying here because obviously you don't want to catch a fallen knife. That's a very common phrase in trading, is catching a fallen knife. All right, this is, you know, market is clearly falling, so you don't want to be, you know, buying, you know, at the low, or, you know, once this level is broken, right? Because this market's obviously falling, right? And that's what I said, guys. You don't want to fight the market, right? You just want to go with the flow of the market, okay? You just want to go with the flow, basically, right? So, whoa, what the? All right, my chart kind of glitched out there, but yeah, basically, guys, you want to go with the flow of the market. So once a level is broken, you are triggering the higher time frame, okay? And in this case, the higher time frame, again, is pushing downward. Imagine an anvil, right, is just sitting up here, ready to drive the market down. Or vice versa, if you flip the chart and flip this anvil, but it's not flipped, but it's pushing the market upwards if this was an uptrending market, right? But it's in reality a downtrending market. I just flipped the chart. But yeah, that's basically what it is, guys. So once they break out of this level, they coincide. I have my thesis. So I'm like, all right, I come to the chart, I'm like, all right, cool. So we're in a downtrending market, right? The market is clearly expanded the range downward, going down, whatever. And now I just wait for a level to be broken, and I wait for my setup. My setup is going to be the pump, coil, dump, right? So my pump, coil, and dump, or my dump, coil, and pump. Sorry, there's a lot of drawings here, but or my trap and shift, which I went over in the other video, right? Trap and shift downward or trap and shift upward, right? So that's all I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be waiting for that criteria, for that setup to play out in the session that I'm trading. So if I came into London session and I see, okay, let me just count back 3 sessions, right? Because so a 3-session setup or a 3-day setup. So I'll talk about this in, you know, future videos, but basically I just count back three sessions, right? So if I have a pump and dump, let's just say this is throughout the day, right? A pump, coil, and then dump, right? This is going to be 1 session, 2 sessions, and three sessions, right? So 1 phase, basically 3 phases, 2 and then 3, right? Or I could have it throughout 3 days. So a pump, right? A coil on 1 day, and then a dump, right? So each one of these sectors is a day, right? So it's going to be the same thing. It's just on a bigger scale, right? The markets are fractal on every single time frame. 1, 2, 3, right? And in this case, I have a 3-session setup. My chart just glitched out there again. Okay, a 3-session setup, and that's what I have heading into this window, right? So now, guess what we have here, guys? Guess what we have? Now that I have my setup, right? I have my thesis. All right, this market is being driven downward. I have my setup. Guess what we have right here heading into the London session window? Guess what we have? We have a trap and shift setup. We have a trap and shift setup within a pump, coil, and dump, right? So now it gives me a sell high opportunity at the high of the current day. And I have on the 15-minute chart, it's an engulfing candle. But on the 5-minute chart, I also have an engulfing candle for a better fill right at closing price at the levels, right? I want to be selling at the levels, high of the current day and closing price. And I have my engulfment, and I take my short trade. I have my stop loss at the extreme because I know, all right, this potentially could be the extreme of the day, and it could move to the other side, right? And for profit taking, right, anytime you see a pump and dump or a dump and pump, guys, it's always going to come back to where the pump started or where the dump started, right? So minimum, I could have it right where the pump started. That's my minimum profit target, right? But this is how you identify a trade to get out early on or to hold on to. And this is a trade to hold on to because now I have my thesis. All right, this is the higher time frame driving this move down, so I can hold this trade until potentially the low of the day, and then I'm gonna buy low. I'm gonna take profits, which is gonna be buying low. If I'm shorting, I'm gonna be buying back, right? So now I have a maximum of a 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio, right? And this market is a market that has gone parabolic, right? This market has gone parabolic and has had no resistance coming back. And I told you guys in the previous video, anytime you see a trap and shift, right? Obviously we have our pump, coil, and dump, but anytime you see a trap and shift set up on the day, how the day sets up itself, right? Anytime you see a trap and shift setup, it is going to explode and go in the other direction very, very quickly, okay? Anytime you see a trap and shift setup, especially if it's being driven by the higher time frame. Now, this is a cross rate pair, GBP CAD, so it's not going to be as volatile, you know, sometimes at least, if it's not breaking out or whatever, but it's not going to be as volatile. But when you have the setup and you have the criteria and you have the thesis, right, that this market is going to collapse, right, because we're in a higher time frame downtrend. Once you have all of that lined up, you take your trade, it's going to go, and it's going to go quickly and put you in profit quickly. And you just have to be patient, obviously wait for your setup, and manage your trade too. As this market is moving, you could have your break-even level. Once it blows past here, boom, move your stop loss to break-even. Now you're in a risk-free trade, right? And now all you can do is just manage how much you can make, all right? So you could take profits right where the pump started, maybe close half, and then close fully right at the low of the previous day, okay? So that's how you have to look at these markets and just recognize your setup, right, with the criteria that I give you, and recognize the higher time frame too, because that's also very important too. That's also the major fundamental factor, or technical factor, I guess you could say, that will drive the market in your direction that you want, that you're trading, right? That is what makes a setup go parabolic and go move in the direction that you're trading very, very quickly, right? You can look at this, any market. We could look at any market with all of these, all of this criteria, with your thesis, your higher time frame, and your setup, okay? You can use this on any market, right? And once you have your setup, again, it's going to go very quickly if you have a trap and shift, especially if you have this anvil above you, right? Once they trigger the higher time frame, you have an anvil above here, just waiting. It's waiting, currently waiting to slam the market down, right? If you're taking a short trade, okay? So I hope this video helps, guys. I hope I simplified it as much as possible. I'm gonna post more videos on the higher time frame, timings, and just like how to get in, and just the very specific factors when it comes to actually taking the trade. Because obviously, in lifetime, it's a lot harder to do. Trading is heavily psychologically focused. I'm explaining to you guys very simple here. Obviously, it looks very simple, but again, heading into lifetime, you have to be well equipped in your mind for sure before anything, right? And that's just something that you'll have to learn through experience of live trading, etc. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer it. And thank you for watching. And like the video, subscribe. Thank you very much.